Jarhead at number one.
Yeah, well, I'm not wowed by Jarhead. I think it's Full Metal Jacket and only Full Metal Jacket light and a bit of Apocalypse Now and a bit of the Deer Hunter. But it did, however, provoke my Deer Hunter rant, which has started a discussion on the IMDb about whether or not the Deer Hunter is as hateful as I thought it was, and I'm glad of having done it just for that.
Film reviews. We should start with the Cock and Bull story, which, if you're a Guardian reader, is slightly confusing. It's either the best film ever, or it's only worth 3 stars. What's it to be, Mark?
Well, I'm closer to the first one of those. Adaptation of a famously unfilmable 18th century novel, The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman. Reteamed Steve Coogan with director Michael Winterbottom, because they did 24 Hour Party People together, which, as we have discussed at some length, is absolutely fabulous and features one of Andy Serkis's great performances as Martin Hannett. In the novel, the narrator is attempting to sort of tell his life story, but keeps getting sidetracked, firstly by the impossibility of telling his own life story, and secondly by the impossibility of writing the novel, which of course is episodic anyway. In the film, what happens is that Steve Coogan is playing Tristram Shandy and Tristram Shandy's father, but keeps getting sidetracked away from actually being in the film by, on the one hand, a rival with Rob Brydon, who is his co-star in the movie and is apparently very well known from television. He's from...
Indeed so.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen him before, but apparently he's very well known.
He's from loads of things.
Well, there we go.
And he's very good.
Okay. Who keeps threatening to steal the show. Also, journalists who keep turning up on set and interviewing Steve Coogan as the character Steve Coogan about infidelities that he's had in his life, which, of course, is particularly pertinent considering the real-life accusations of infidelities which have dogged and, to some extent, been accepted by Steve Coogan in the real world, and by the reputation that he has for always being Alan Partridge, which in the film he plays Steve Coogan attempting to put Alan Partridge behind him, which becomes particularly self-reflexive in a moment in the film in which Steve Coogan, the character, is interviewed by Tony Wilson, who he played in 24 Hour Party People, basically as Alan Partridge. So you get the acting and you get several levels of reality, and it sounds like it ought to be so postmodern and so self-reflexive that it has completely disappeared up itself. It's actually really, really, really good. Couple of reasons. First is that Michael Winterbottom, when he's great, he's 24 Hour Party People and he's this. When he's bad, it's 9 Songs and, Butterfly Kiss and that awful adaptation of Jude the Obscure, and it's like he's a schizophrenic personality. But when he's good, he really, really hits the nail on the head. And this time, I think it's up there with 24 Hour Party People as one of his best works. The script is by Martin Hardy. Now, interesting, according to reports in Variety, so I trust this is true, Martin Hardy is actually Frank Cottrell Boyce, having taken his name off the script. But Frank Cottrell Boyce is quoted as saying that he didn't take his name off the script because he didn't like it. He took it off the script because he wanted to part the ways with Michael Winterbottom, and what better way than to leave him with his best script for free? I mean, it all sounds so weird. You can't tell how much of it is true and how much of it isn't true.
It was difficult. I mean, Rob and Steve were both on the programme about 10 days ago, and it was quite difficult to get a handle on anything other than the fact that they seem to really enjoy working with each other and intend to carry on doing so in the future. And that's about it.
The thing is, it would be very easy to look at the film and think that what it is a bunch of improvisation and all these just outtakes jumbled up together in a way which is quite entertaining. But in fact, it has that shambolic structure that bespeaks real thought. I mean,
bespeaks?
Yes, it does. Bespeaks. Don't pick me up on bespeaks. Bespeaks. That's a perfectly fine. Okay, fine. Send the emails in now that prove that it's perfectly fine. You look it up on...
I'm sure it did. No, I'm sure
okay,
it...
fine.
I'm sure it...
Which bespeaks real organisational brain behind the thing. Because, like French Lieutenant's Woman,
so it
to
means
some
the
extent...
same as speaks of, does it?
Yes, but it's slightly more elegant. Okay. It's like the thing with...
show-offy.
It's not show-offy. What's wrong with bespeaks?
Carry on.
I'm completely lost the thread. No, I haven't. Okay, fine. So it's like in the French Lieutenant's Woman, which you've got the story and then the narrator commenting at the story at the same time. In terms of the film, what you've got is the story of Tristram Shandy being untold by Steve Coogan and everyone else, in the film production, being unable to make the film work and constantly getting sidetracked. Steve Coogan too often gets... put down as somebody, as Rob Brydon saying in that clip, somebody who is just simply Alan Partridge. The fact is, he's a great actor. Two things. Firstly, he's very, very willing to take the mick out of himself. Look at this. Look at his performance in Coffee and Cigarettes, in which he plays a snot-nosed British actor who goes to LA and then is rude to Alfred Molina until the point that he discovers that Alfred Molina is good friends with Spike Jonze, at which point he tries to be his friend. It's very hard to play something that, apparently damaging to your own personality fascinating because people look at it and think that you are playing yourself. In this, he's doing a number of different parts that all look worryingly similar from the outside, but in fact, when you look at them closely, are all very, very well modulated. Of course, he's not Alan Partridge, but playing somebody who is dogged by the ghost of Alan Partridge, who is then interviewed by Tony Wilson and is co-starred with somebody who keeps mocking him for being nothing other than Alan Partridge, is not the same as just being Alan Partridge. I mean, it's incredibly intelligent, it's incredibly funny, it's a very smart way of doing an absolutely unfilmable novel, and it's rip-roaringly entertaining. I mean, I was genuinely knocked out by how good it was. I am sure, as some people have said, that it may be a little too much of an in-joke, and it may be that if you have no interest in the making of movies, if you have no interest in the process of making movies, if you have no interest in the process of a work of art being created, then you might find it annoying. But then you would find the novel annoying as well, because so much of the novel is about that. It's in the BAFTAs in the Best British Film category. It's up against Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and I would say it's a neck and neck tie from my point of view, because I thought they were both great movies, you know, fantastically well performed, and you know, a real credit to the British film industry. I thought Cock and Bull Story was great, and you know, hats off to them for doing such a good job with such a difficult book.